Hello, welcome. This is restorative week. I think it's week 5. I've lost track. Ah, and we are going to be doing some restorative yoga. This is completely on the floor. It's with lots of props and things. And as I like to say to everyone, we're going to build our own nests. So in the interest of that, I thought we would spend a little time figuring out how to do that when you don't have a whole lot of yoga props at home. Most people have blankets at home, and we've talked about this in other weeks. In yoga, we tend to use what we call Mexican blankets. Um, this one is completely opened up. I'm holding it by the long side. So the most popular um, prop in restorative yoga is a bolster. Boom. This is a flat bolster. I tend to like these because I have issues with my back, and so I don't have as much of a curve to have to deal with here, but I can get some back bending even with this. The other popular style is rounded on the ends. So it's more of a true rounded bolster. I'm not going to use this one today, but I did want you to see. They're nice. They have a lot of them have handles on the end to move them around a lot more easily. And you can see that the covers are removable. So if you're worried about viruses or something, you can take the covers off and wash them. So same with this one. This one has a zipper hidden right there. So I can take the cover off and wash it if I need to. We'll come back to that. What do you do if you don't have one of these in your house? Hi. You roll up some blankets. So what we're going to do is start with the one that I had out earlier, long ways, and then I'm going to fold that long ways in half. I'm kind of OCD about this. If you don't get the edges completely together correctly, then your bolster will roll like a spiral, and it won't. You might feel bumps and stuff in your back as you're using it. The other thing that I'm not a fan of are these fringy things on the ends of the Mexican blankets. I like to roll them to the inside because see, you can see right here, this isn't exactly lined up right. I don't like this. I'm gonna have to fix it. But this fringe also, it's like the princess and the pea. Remember how she could feel that pea? Well, if you have these on the outside, they could really bother you and annoy you to the point where you can't focus on the meditation or the relaxation or the words that are being spoken to you in that moment. So it's nice to just be in a position where you can let all of that stuff go. So I'm going to get all of my corners together. There. There's my blanket folded in half twice. Now I've got all the edges together, and this is about the width of a bolster. So we're going to use this as our width. And then what I'm going to do, because I don't like this fringe, is I'm going to roll that up on the inside. So we're making a rounded bolster right now. But you can see it's not terribly big. If I compare it to this one, it's getting there, but you put some weight on it and smush it, it's not gonna be terribly thick. So what you can do is roll another one up around it. Boom, I have another blanket. Same thing, fold it in half long ways. And then fold it in half again the opposite direction. So I'm just trying to get those edges together neatly. Right now, bring all 4 corners together. Boom. So now what I'll do is this fringy end here, and this little where the first roll ended, I want to line those up like that. Oops, so I have to turn this over in order for this to completely work. So I'm going to line those up, and then I'm just going to keep rolling as if this blanket just continued. It's a little weird to get started, so maybe I can show it a little bit better on this side. So here's the end here. Here's the beginning here. Line them up, and then just keep rolling. So now it's a little bit thicker, has another level about it. But what if I wanted something really, really thick? Then I could put another blanket around this blanket. Same thing. This is a well-loved blanket. So if you have a blanket that's well-loved like this one, you might want to look for where those spots are, those holes in this case, and take them to the inside so that, again, you don't have that disturbing you. This is going to be difficult because there's holes everywhere. So I'm going to line this up. There's the fringe. There's the edge of the last one. And then just continue rolling. Boom. So then I have another layer over top of that. Nice, thick bolster. If I bring in my original round one, it's probably fairly close in diameter at least. They're very similar, you can see there. But I'm not going to use either one of these. It's just a lesson in case you're at home. And it doesn't have to be a Mexican blanket. It can be a regular old bed blanket. Any size will do. Just as, you know, and if you're tall, sometimes bolsters aren't long enough for you. This might not be enough for your spine. So if you want to use a blanket from a bigger bed, maybe that would help you to create a wider bolster, or you might want to or need to use a pillow or a block as an extension of the length of the bolster. So kind of up to you. Done with the blankets for now, except to say that restorative yoga has a tendency to be blood pressure dropping. We're not going to be doing a whole lot of movement. It's more of a meditative practice than it is a moving asana practice. There's a lot of breath work involved and a lot of really long holds. You'll notice I have some music. I have some music on for the background. Some people like that. Some people just want to be quiet and just be with themselves and with their breath. So it's up to you completely as far as where you are with all of that. And I am trying to remember where we are in our philosophy for this week. I believe it's chakras and nadis. So I'm not going to really worry about that too much for this video. We'll talk about that in the discussion board. We will, at the end of this, get into the I rest meditation towards the end of it, of joy coming. And once you've done a lot of work in meditation, then we don't want to kind of leave you in that deepness. We want to bring you back out into a place of joy and well-being. So we'll spend some time maybe finding some joy today at the end. So our props that we need for today, you might want a pillow for your head, a bolster, as we've already discussed here, and then 2 blocks, because we'll make a chair. If you don't have 2 blocks, you could use 2 full boxes of tissue, or in this particular situation, books, the nice heavy books might also work, because we're gonna be using this more as like a, I'll just show you, boom. That's what we're going to be doing, not that. That's an example of what we don't want to do. We don't want them to curve. We want them to be flat, but you know, maybe a couple height books, or books maybe that you lay flat this way and stack could also work. You know, imagine these are books laying flat. I have some over there. I could probably show you in a little bit if we have time. So with that, I always like to start with a little bit of constructive rest. So I'm going to have one bolster down where my knees are, and a pillow for my head. If you don't want a pillow for your head, if you like your head flat, that's fine with you. You might also, yeah, I said something about the blood pressure already, which goes to, I'm wearing 3/4 sleeves, and over here I have a sweater ready should I need it, because you can get cold. That was my point with all that. You can get cold. So you might even want, I don't have them on my feet, but you might even want socks. So lots of options. So I'm going to put my feet over the bolster and just lay down. Now I want my feet to be on the floor. So you'll notice that for me, my thighs are on the bolster more so than my shins. If I have them here, then my feet are kind of hanging in the air, and I like the idea of being grounded. So just allow your eyes to close for a few moments here. Allow yourself to just let the day wash over you, whatever the day has had up to this point. And just check in with your body and your breath. I'll be leaving lots of space, silent space, in this practice. So just as we move into this, scanning through from head to toe, noticing what's present in your body, what feelings, emotions, or thoughts you bring with you into this practice today, and how are they reflected in your body. How is your breath moving? Do you feel movement in the chest or in the belly? Maybe take a hand to each while laying here and just checking in. For me right now, I am noticing more movement in my abdomen than in my chest. My apana is high, my prana is maybe a little bit low. This means I'm kind of in a position where I'm ready to release things. That's balanced. But receiving more right now, full up. Probably for all of us, it feels a little bit that way, like just no more. Let me just pause, let me just be. So take this practice and take this time to just pause and be. And as we've done in other practices, maybe you want to put a word for inhale, something that you need to receive in your life, and maybe a different word for exhale. And if you like, you can take those words into the practice with you. Whenever you find yourself in stillness, just returning to your breath and returning to your words. So to start movement, we'll just gently crisscross at the knees, the legs. So I'm going to do it this way so you can see a little bit more what's going on. I'm at the knees, not at the ankles, at the knees. And then I'm going to give my body a hug with my arms, crisscrossing my arms. This might not be the most comfortable position in the world for you, but see if you can breathe some relaxation into it. With each breath, let yourself melt just a little bit more. Returning to your breath. Returning to those words. And then we'll flip-flop the legs, put the other knee on top. Flip-flop the arms, put the other arm on top. Find the relaxation. Allow the body to melt, being supported by the surfaces your body is resting upon. Then returning to the breath. Returning to your words. Next, we'll undo all of this. And we're going to roll to your right side. As you roll to your side, bring the bolster behind you. It needs to be at about a 45-degree angle towards like the corner, the lower left corner of your mat that's behind you. As you roll to your side, there are points in this where you will want a pillow and points where you will not want a pillow. But you can see the bolster is back here behind me. And we'll be using that in a little bit. I'm going to take my glasses off because they're a little bit in my way right now. Bringing the hands together, palms together, elbows together, hands sort of in front of your face. Knees are bent. I do like the pillow right now. And breathe for a moment. We're going to be moving into side lying eagle pose. It's Finish about 3 more breaths here before beginning. We're going to start with the legs. So take the top leg and place the foot on the floor just beyond your knee. Let the knee be up, and if you want, you can take your upward hand and push the thigh, maybe opening the hip a little bit. Taking about 3 to 5 breaths here. And then we're going to let that knee drop down to the ground. Now moving to the arms. My upward arm is going to become my lower arm. My lower arm is going to go into the crook of that other elbow. And then I'm going to try to get my hands, palms facing each other as much as you can together. So the question here is, do you feel a stretch across the back of your shoulders, like around your shoulder blades? If the answer is yes, then you're doing it right. Don't worry about the position of your arms as long as you're feeling that stretch along the back of the shoulders. And then in this awkwardness of this position, return to your breath. Try to let the body relax into this position. Then unwind the arms. I need a block for the next one, so block is right here near my head. So what I'm going to do is take this top leg now and extend it behind me and onto the bolster. My knee is straight. This knee, the lower knee, is bent. Then I'm going to take the block and put one hand on either side of it, flat, not like this, so the shoulders are and the hands are turned. You want everything squared up, and then extend the arms out away from you. Imagine that we are doing side-lying warrior one pose. So this is my back leg for warrior one, knee is straight, front leg for warrior one, knee is bent. And don't feel like you have to hold the block up. Just let the arms relax down. Put them at a width. Use a width with the block that allows your arms to be about shoulder width apart, or whatever's comfortable for you. Once you've got the position, melt. Move with the breath, with each exhalation, letting your body sink a little deeper into the earth. Return to your breath and your words. So if you're confused by some of this, know that when I do the other side, my back will be to you. So once you've watched this video through once, you should be able to know the positioning for your body on both sides. Moving on to the next pose. So we're going to let the arms relax. The block we're going to need on the other side. So roll to your back. Let the leg come off of the bolster. And as you're rolling your back, let the block move over to the other side of your body, keeping the bolster where it is for the next pose. So this is going to be a twist. We're going to take the other leg, the one that was not on the bolster, and right in the one that's furthest away from the bolster right now as you're laying on your back. We're going to take it across the body. So the easiest way to do this is to turn towards the bolster, letting the shoulders come up for a moment. Let that leg come and land on the bolster. And then once you've got that, reopen the arms. And I do not like the pillow here. I'm going to let my head be just flat on the floor. You may find that one arm or the other is up. So if you've got that, you may need to take a block or a pillow or put under one arm if the shoulder won't open that far for you. So with this, the knees are straight but soft. So the hips are vertical in space. The shoulders are horizontal. Nice twist for the spine. Breath and words. I like the palms up for this as well. Arms are perpendicular to your body like Jesus on the cross. It's probably the best example of the positioning of the body right now. Notice if you're holding any tension anywhere in your body where you don't need to. I just noticed my hands were holding tension. And with each exhalation, just let that go. And let that go. So we're going to get set up for the other side now. We have to move this big old bolster to the other side of our body. So taking the leg off of it, then go ahead and just move it around to the other side. So now it's angled towards the lower right corner of your mat. It's not straight and it's not completely out horizontal. It's kind of in the middle right there. And you want the part that's closest to you to intersect with your buttocks. I'm going to be turning away from you now. Hello again. And knees are bent. Hands are together, elbows are together, hands are in front of your heart, or in front of your head, excuse me, elbows are closer to your heart. And here, again, just breathe, relax, letting go, releasing. So we're going to move into that side lying eagle pose first. So bring the top leg, foot to the floor, just beyond the knee. You can take one hand and push the knee. Move this bolster just a little bit for now. I'll bring it back. And then after about 3 to 5 breaths, we're going to let that knee drop down to the ground. And then the arms, remember the upper arm becomes the lower arm. Palms as much together as you can. The bottom arm, elbow goes into the crook of the other elbow. Breathing. Relaxing if you can. Or at least letting the tension go. Maybe working with the tension if you can't let it go, if it's there. This virus is there. And just breathing and being with it. Undoing the arms. And then take the top leg, extend it out on the bolster behind you. I'm going to pull this back in. Knee is straight for the top leg, bottom leg, the knee is bent. And then find your block. Palms of your hands facing each other, not twisted, flat. Same position, everything square from the shoulders. And then just let this bottom hand rest on the ground. Don't feel like you're having to hold your arms up. Just let them be supported by the block and by the ground. Side lying warrior one. Find your breath. Find your words. Let the block go. Roll to your back. Take your leg off of the bolster. And we're going to move into that twist. So the other leg is going to come onto the bolster now with the knee straight. And then reopen your arms. I'm going to take that pillow away. So arms are on the ground, hips are perpendicular to the ground, knees are straight but soft. Return to your breath, return to your words, arms perpendicular to your body. Check for tension. I just found some in my jaw. Where do you feel tension? And letting this go. I'm going to do some more work. First, we're going to go to the wall. So let me first go ahead and throw that back there. Hello. We are moving. Here, I think. All right, I don't need that. So we're going to do what's called a waterfall. Hello. We're going to do what's called a waterfall. And that's because your back is going to kind of be in a waterfall position. Legs are going to be up the wall, but the back is going to be on this bolster. So how am I going to get there? Well, first thing I'm going to do is to sit on the bolster, on the edge. My inside hip is right up against the wall. The wall is right here. All right, I can't look at the camera and do this because it messes me up. So I'm just going to lean back on my hands and turn my legs into the wall. Might have to wiggle a little bit to get myself there. But you can see I've got a bit of a back bend going on in my body here. My legs are up the wall. Hope you could hear that. So this is one of the reasons I like the flat pillow. My issues are in my lower back. So with the flat pillow, I don't get as much rounding in the low back. It's more in the middle, the thoracic for me. My shoulders are on the floor, which is what you want. Some people like to put a weight like a weighted sandbag on their feet here. I didn't get one out, so I'm going to lose out on that today. But breathing, returning to your words. And then you can do some variations with the legs. So maybe go into a reclining tree pose here, or inverted tree pose, I guess you could call this. Maybe a little on one side, and a little on the other. And maybe a little Baddha Konasana, which is bound angle pose. You can push on your knees. Just a little reminder, if all of this is too much with the bolster under you, you're welcome to do it without the bolster. It just takes that back bending out of this. And then the last one would be a straddle. So these are some options for the wall. Some people like to hold these for a long time. So if you like that, pause the video and get into the one that you like the most and stay there for a bit. One other thing you can do is to put the feet on the wall, knees bent a little bit, and then push the feet into the wall and lift up. Maybe you can even straighten the legs a bit. I've got my heels on the wall. I know you can't see that. Oh well, heels on the wall, toes were away. So different ways of walking the feet up the wall. You can play with that as an idea too. And then to get out of this, we're just going to simply roll to the side and come off of the bolster. So that's a little bit of wall work. We're going to come back now. Well, that was a little blip, but I'm back. All right. So now we're going to do a little bit more the 6 directions of the spine. So if for those that have been in this class for a while, that's forward folding. Not happy with this. Back bending. Side body one way, side body the other way, twisting one way, twisting the other way. Those are the 6 directions of the spine. So we're going to start with forward folding. Bolster's going to go between your legs, and you're just going to try to forward fold and get your head down to the bolster. But most people, it's doable, but knees soft. But for most people, it's hard. So you're going to add something to this, either underneath or over top. I'd just like to point out a couple different variations here. First off, forehead on it. You want a little spot to be able to breathe. If I down here can't breathe, so have a hole so you can breathe. If this is not working for you either, another option, and I really like doing this on a yoga mat because it's sticky. If I do it on the floor, this tends to slide. Put your forehead on the bolster, and then over time, as you get those little releases, you can move it away from you until maybe you just drop all the way down to the bolster. So just go ahead now, pick your poison for this, what's going to feel right for you, and just melt, returning to the breath and returning to the words. And then gently coming up, move that away. If you want to stay longer, just pause. We're going to do side body and then also twisting on one side and then on the other side. So the first thing I'm going to do is let my elbow be on the bolster. It doesn't really matter what my legs are doing because I'm stretching this part of my body anyway. So I'm just going to let my arm come over my head. This is sort of like a gate pose or a side angle pose, only seated on the floor. And you might want to make a fist with this hand and reach a little forward to get a little bit more of a stretch under the arm. It's a little bit more active than restorative, but it's something to do. And then to move this into a twist, I don't like to hold that side angle so much because it's not really restorative, but we are moving all the directions of the spine with this little part of the routine. So this is kind of side saddle sitting. Both the knees are together and both of the feet are kind of behind me. Then I'm going to turn my whole torso in to the bolster, one hand on either side of it. Walk the hands out. To be frank. Walk the hands out. One hand will be on each side of the bolster. You'll notice right now my head is turned in the same direction as my knees. This is a little easier for the spine, a little less of a twist. If you want more of a twist, then turn your head the opposite way. Or you can start on one side and after a few breaths maybe turn the other way. But know that head away from knees is a little bit harder. Breathing. Words. Allowing things to relax. pushing yourself back up. Need to move this bolster over to the other side of my body now. Starting with the forearm down, and the other arm comes over the head. You can make that fist reach a little bit forward, stretching under the arm, stretching the lymph nodes. Letting that go. Don't want to focus too much into that. Side saddle sitting, turning the torso into the bolster, one hand on either side. Walk the hands out. Easy, hard. I'm going to go with easy this time. Return to your breath. Return to your words. And then bringing yourself back up. So I'm going to talk about some options here for the back bending. It's the last part that we haven't done. And then I'm going to get up and change the music because we're going to need a different song for our breath work today. So if you've got a decent low back and you like back bending on your low back, then you may want to just stay with this bolster nice and low. I recommend leaning forward because notice there's a gap here, and just as you lean forward, pull the bolster in and then lay back over it. So for me, that's too much with my back issues. For you, it might feel wonderful. If you need something that's a little bit milder, you have a couple choices. One is to bend your knees, push yourself so that your back and your tailbone are actually on the bolster. And then you can do different things. You can straighten the legs into supported fish pose, or keep the knees bent. Maybe put another bolster under the knees. There's lots of different choices you can have here. Not my favorite though. Maybe it's yours. I'm going to build a chair. And I do have some books over here, so I think I'm going to grab some, unplanned, just to see if we could do this with books. So you might want to be able to see what I'm doing. Um, so I'm going to just stack them up and see what happens. This might be a big fail and I end up editing this out. We'll see. Stack of books, bolster against them. Whoops. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. It seems to work. So that's one option you have. If you've got something a little more sticky, like blocks, we went through this a little bit earlier. Tower, one in the back, medium height, the one closer to you, and the bolster on them. Do you see how that back one's kind of cockeyed? Don't like it. So I'm going to reach back here and fix it. This is one thing that I'm often doing in classes when students set this up, is going around and making sure that their blocks aren't going to roll and fall on them in the middle of their nice relaxing time. We don't want that. So here's what I have, and it's a little bit taller. You can see it's going to take that angle out of the back bend. There's still going to be a bit of some here. I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. Let me go change the music. I'll be right back. I'm back. So you can hear this music. And I just wanted to be the background for right now. We'll come back to it in a few moments. For Durga. Some of you are familiar with Durga already. So we're going to just put our back against this bolster. Yes, I let my hair down because this is going to be meditation, and I like it piled up when I'm doing restorative because then my ponytail or whatever doesn't get in the way if I'm laying back on it. But right now I'm just going to relax. So I'm going to let my hair relax too. So laying back against this bolster. I'm going to start off with letting the legs be straight for a little bit. My arms are out, perpendicular to my body. Palms are up. Return to the breath. Return to your words. So just like we did against the wall, I'm going to just show you some options for the legs. And then we're going to go into the breath work. So you can be moving your legs through these options as we're breathing too. It's your choice on that. So first is the legs straight, just like they are here. Another form of supported fish. And then again, we can do tree, reclining tree pose here. Other leg. Baddha Konasana, Supta Baddha Konasana here, reclining bell angle pose. And if you're here and like your knees are not able to go all the way down, you can take a block or a pillow and put under, so that like little shims, so that everything feels supported, or just change position. Whatever feels good to you. So going to Durga or Anulom Vilom a little bit. This is a little bit more formulaic. So just as a way of review, just let that music kind of fade into the background. Let me get the mic a little bit closer. When you breathe, you think of breath as being in 3 different parts of the body, starting, the first one is like the collarbones right up here, the top. and then the mid-chest where the lungs and the ribs are, and then the diaphragm is below that and the belly. So those are the three parts of the breath. And when we breathe into one and then the next and then the next. So for some people, it feels better to start at the top and work your way down. For other people, it feels right to start at the bottom and work your way up. And there's people like me for whom that changes day to day, depending on what is going on in my life. So I'd like to invite you right now to just play with each. First, try to breathe and then expand your collarbones. Then expand your chest. Then expand your belly. Then exhale. Maybe try that a few more times. And then try the opposite. So starting by expanding the belly, then the chest, then the collarbones, then a nice long slow exhale. Try that 2 more times. And then decide for your own body which felt better, which felt like you got more air moving, or it just made you feel less anxious. Whatever is needed right now, just be with that. And just know that you're going to stay with whichever one felt right as we move a little bit deeper into this now. So what we're going to do is inhale to 1. This can be 1 or this can be 1. This is always 2 in the middle. So for me, my 1 is going to be my belly today. So inhaling to 1 and then pause. Maybe a teaspoon of air spills out as an exhale, and then continue inhaling to 2. Again, a little hold, maybe a teaspoon of air coming out, and then taking another breath in, teaspoon of air, and then taking a nice long, slow exhale. Now the music is here to help us figure out the speed at which we should be doing this. So if you can stay with this music while doing it, and I'm going to call it for a bit, you are doing it correctly. And I'll just invite you to join me in this as you feel ready. Inhale to 1 and hold. Inhale to 2 and hold. Inhale to 3 and hold. And then a nice long, slow exhale. Inhale 1, hold, 2, hold, 3, hold, and exhale. One, 2, 3, and exhale. 1, 2, 3, and exhale. I'm going to start letting my voice taper away. Keep going. Take a cleansing breath right here. Keep going. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. 2. Exhale. And let go of this prana, this breath, pranayama exercise. And just return to your natural flow of breath in and out. And we're going to move into meditation. So if you would like to stay here, you can stay here. It's going to be just a little meditation. If you need to change positions at all, feel free to do that too. So just quickly scanning through your body, noticing the sensations that are present right now, noticing your breath, constant companion with you your entire life, from the moment you're born until the moment you die. Remind yourself of any inner resource you might have, happy place. Remembering that you can return to that inner resource at a moment's notice whenever you need to feel safe, secure, and grounded. And allow your thoughts to go to a place that brings you joy, happiness, that fills you with a sense of well-being. Maybe that place of joy and happiness feels like an inner smile. The inner smile radiating out from your heart, filling your whole body with joy, out through your shoulders, arms, and hands, down into the pelvis, legs, and feet, up into the neck and the head, mouth, lips, and eyes, smiling. Your whole body smiling, radiant, alive, joyful. And from this place of joy, feel yourself expanding. Feel your physical body, the subtle body. Feel a connection with everything around you. And ask yourself, what is it that is aware of this body, this breath, these feelings, emotions, and thoughts? What is that? And then feel yourself returning into this body, feeling that joy that's with you, feeling your breath, feeling your physical body, the skin, density, muscles, organs within. Remind yourself of your inner resource, your happy place. And then as you feel ready, begin moving your fingers and toes just a little. Arms and legs when you're ready for more movement. Maybe bend the knees. Maybe roll to a side. You might even roll off of the props you're on. Maybe not. And then use the palms of your hands to support you and bring yourself back to sitting. And bringing your hands to your heart. Take a deep breath in and out. And namaste.